Fang the Sniper is the greatest Sonic character of all time, and in this video I'm going to show you why he's so awesome. I'm going to guess that most of you watching this video are probably avid Sonic fans like me, so you're probably familiar with our Weaselly friend here, but in case you actually have a life, here's a quick rundown. Knack the Weasel, aka Fang the Sniper, is a Jerboa treasure hunter introduced in the 1994 Game Gear game Sonic Triple Trouble. Okay, yeah, that's about everything you need to know. So, why is Fang so cool, you might be asking? Well, first off, I find Fang interesting because he was one of the first attempts at creating a new villain for Sonic to face. Before Fang, the only real villains Sonic had were Eggman, Knuckles, and Metal Sonic. Knuckles wasn't even really a villain, he was just being manipulated by Eggman, and Metal Sonic is one of Eggman's inventions, so he really is just an extension of Eggman. Eggman was, and still is, the Sonic the Hedgehog villain. Nearly every villain Sonic's faced has either been Eggman, one of Eggman's inventions, or something reawakened by Eggman. But Fang is just a guy. Just a dude who loves money. Originally, he had no connection to Eggman, and that's what makes him unique to me. But where are my manners? I've been talking about Fang, and I haven't even given him the proper respect of talking about his totally sick design. Fang has these gloves with metal plates on them. The metal plates are already cool enough, but there's something else about these gloves that catches my eye. You may not have noticed this, but originally Fang only had 4 fingers. This is really weird because the vast majority of Sonic characters all have 5 fingers. I don't know why this is, but hey, now you know a completely useless bit of trivia, my favorite type of trivia. Some of Fang's other notable features are his big tooth, his pop gun, his spring-like tail, his super clean belt, and of course, his cool hat. Everyone loves to talk about Knuckles' cool hat from the OVA, but that OVA didn't come out until 1996. Fang was rocking a cool hat for over a year before Knuckles was. Fang also had a gun before Shadow made it cool to pack heat. Fang was also rocking the belt with no pants look before Big the Cat did. Fang is a trendsetter. He had half of the Sonic roster trying to copy off of his swag. Knack the Weasel, aka Jet the Jerboa, aka Fang the Sniper, is really noteworthy because he had the potential to be an interesting rival character to Sonic. Unlike Knuckles, Fang did in fact chuckle, and he wasn't someone who relied on brute strength. And unlike Eggman, Fang didn't have an astounding IQ. He was a smug trickster who enjoyed chaos. This wouldn't always work out well for Fang, but it gave him a fun charm. For a while, it seemed like Fang was starting to become a regular part of the Sonic cast. Around the time he was introduced, he appeared in quite a few games. Sonic Triple Trouble in 1994, Sonic Drift 2 in 1995, and Sonic the Fighters in 1996. He was even supposed to be in the cancelled Sega Saturn 3D platformer Sonic X-treme. The abandoning of Sonic X-treme, crazily enough, ended up being the abandoning of Fang for many years as well. I think Fang would have been a perfect character for 1997 Sonic R. Sure, he was never known for running fast, but both Eggman and Amy rode vehicles in that game, so they could have easily let Fang race in his bike, the Marvelous Queen. It makes me wonder why Fang never came back in between Sonic the Fighters in 1996 and his big return 27 years later in Sonic Superstars in 2023. I mean, it's not like Sega forgot he existed. He had artwork in some of the collections, he had a wanted poster in Generations, and he had a fake version of himself show up in Sonic Mania. Characters like Mighty, Ray, Charmy, Vector, and Espio were getting callbacks for interviews while Fang was sitting on Indeed spamming job applications out there to random scam companies. I mean, they introduced another treasure hunter character in the form of Rouge the Bat in Sonic Adventure 2, so it's not like his skill set was unneeded in the franchise. Speaking of the adventure games, Fang has a gun, so he could have taken Gamma's spot for the shooter stages in Sonic Adventure. So why did Fang just disappear from the series for so long? I decided to look for answers from the most reliable source I know, Reddit. Here's a post from about a year and a half ago on the Sonic the Hedgehog subreddit. Someone essentially asked the same question that I did. I always thought he was such a cool character design, very unique and fits into the Sonic world perfectly. I know his debut was Triple Trouble, but I've always wondered why Sega ended up basically abandoning him. Yes, he's in the comics now, but I could see him becoming a main part of the cast, especially back in the late 90s. Maybe it's because Triple Trouble performed so badly. This person responded, "Think it's just because he was primarily a spin-off character that Sonic Team had no real attachment to, and eventually guy who's armed with a toy gun didn't really fit alongside their government experiments and ancient entities." I can understand that point. Fang never appeared in a mainline Sonic game before Sonic Superstars, and you might not even consider that game mainline. Heck, he never even appeared in a game on any of Sega's home consoles. He was very much a side character. But that doesn't excuse his absence from any of the plethora of side games and spin-offs that the Sonic series had in between Sonic the Fighters and Sonic Superstars. Another point, as I mentioned before, the Chaotix came back in Sonic Heroes in 2003, and they remained as recurring members of the cast. Certified side characters like Jet the Hawk and Eggman Nega, who have never appeared in a mainline game, managed to get an invite to the Olympics, but Fang didn't? This is crazy! So why did they stop using Fang? Well, I have a few possible reasons. The first is his failure to make an impact in his debut game. You see, in Sonic Triple Trouble, the only time you see Fang is as a boss in the special stages, meaning a lot of people may not have even met Fang in their first playthrough, or at the very least, they didn't get to see him much. Long story short, he needed more screen time. Look at popular characters like Blaze, Shadow, and Silver. They were each given very prominent roles in their first games, and all of them were fully playable characters with their own stories. Fang was not only unplayable in Triple Trouble, but he was also a boss you could completely miss out on. This prevented him from developing a strong connection with the players. Even other somewhat obscure classic Sonic characters like Mighty, Ray, Vector, Espio, and Charmy were all at the very least playable in a Sonic platformer. With Fang, if you wanted to play as him, you were stuck with a not very good racing game and a niche arcade fighting game. The second reason why I think Fang was absent for so long is that Fang is a villain. Sonic, despite being a video game franchise that has been around for over 30 years, is not one that is well known for having a deep rogues gallery of recurring villains. Many of these Sonic villains are one-off threats, like Mephiles, Dark Gaia, and Infinite. If you aren't Eggman or one of Eggman's inventions, it's unlikely you'll be a major villain in a future game after your first appearance. So Fang not coming back probably has to do with that trend. Why this trend exists is anyone's guess. Historically, Sonic, for better or worse, has fairly consistently tried new things, not just experimenting with different gameplay styles, but with stories and writing too. Creating new villains is a part of that. The last reason for Fang's absence is actually something touched on by one of the comments I read earlier. I just don't think the Sonic developers care all that much about him. Fang was born in arguably the most forgettable time in Sonic's history. That time being Sonic's awkward phase in the mid to late 90s during the Sega Saturn's heyday. I've already talked about this time in a two-part video series I did a while back. Fang's designer, Shinichi Higashi, hasn't been with Sega in decades, so I doubt there was anyone internally pushing for Fang to return. Fang also didn't really have any deep connections with anyone in the core or secondary Sonic cast. For example, Amy has a crush on Sonic, Silver and Blaze are good friends. Even dead characters like Maria and Gerald Robotnik have a connection to Shadow through his backstory, so they will always, in a way, be relevant. Fang doesn't really have anyone like that. Fang's nearly 3-decade-long hiatus is likely because he was simply born in the wrong place at the wrong time. His daddy left him and he was left with a family that didn't care. He never made any friends and thus he was destined to live a life of obscurity. That is, until Sonic Superstars was released. You know, I just realized that this video was kind of pointless. Like, if Fang had never come back, then this video would be relevant, but like, he is back, so it's just kind of been me complaining about something that isn't a problem anymore. Well, I guess one thing I can do is speculate on what the future holds for Knack the Weasel, aka Jet the Jerboa, aka Fang the Hunter, aka Fang the Sniper. He has yet to appear in any of the modern style Sonic games, so it's a possibility Sega will keep him as a classic Sonic exclusive character. If so, this of course limits the games that Fang can appear in. Sega has been releasing more classic Sonic related stuff over the years, so it's not entirely unlikely for Fang to return. It's unclear what's in store for our treasure hunting friend, but even if Fang never comes back, he will still be the greatest Sonic character ever for me. If you want to watch more Sonic content, I have a whole playlist of videos for you to watch. That's all I've got to talk about for today though, so thanks for watching y'all, and have a great rest of your day.